Okay, you're live.
Thank you. Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's good to see all of you, even though it's virtually. First, we'll call to order and we will approve the minutes, please. Did everybody have a chance to read through them? Does anybody have any corrections or notes for the minutes?
Nope.
No? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you,
I second
David.
that.
Thank you. Thank you, Krissa. Make sure that you state your name, please, when you're making motions or talking
Sorry about that.
or notes. Thank you. It's okay. I know. We're still getting used to the whole virtual stuff.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Okay. So I was going to do the Fine Arts Subcommittee first for updates. Barbara can't come tonight, which is fine. So unless somebody else has an update about the Poet Laureate, we can just go ahead and go to the gallery updates with Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, if you would like to go ahead.
Sure, thank you. At Pitt Moyer, we've had Jen Sterling there for maybe 9 months, maybe 6 months, the longest ever. I had her take her work down. It was either today or yesterday. I don't know which one she got with her. She had to get a big truck because her work is like 40 by 60. But then in October, we have Fire Prevention Month. And so the same show that we had at City Hall last year with the fire, the different fire departments and stuff, with Captain John Muhich, he and I are arranging the same kind of thing at Pitt Moyer. So he didn't add anything new, but he just has the same, I think it's 20 pieces that will be hanging Thursday or Friday, hopefully of this week, if not early, like Monday or Tuesday of next week. So I'm not sure how much traffic we're getting at Pitt Moyer, having not really been there at all, to tell you the truth, but at least it'll be up for a couple months, maybe longer, because I don't really have anybody. Everyone's been wanting to wait till next year. So I don't have anybody to come after him. So it might be till the end of the year. So that's it. Because at City Hall, of course, City Hall is not open yet. So.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Elizabeth about upcoming gallery?
Or lack thereof.
Or the lack thereof, but yeah. Just is what it is. One day soon, we'll have a new norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Righty. So for the mural subcommittee is next up. I have a few updates about the proposed murals and plaque and the plaques. I'm still waiting to hear back from Brian Snyder regarding 2 additional vendors that we need for RFPs for the plaques. So once I get those, we can get the 2 additional bids for the Carl Lester mural and the Breonna Taylor mural plaques. So I don't have anything to move forward with that as far as voting on tonight.
Did you see me on those discussions, Genevieve?
Sure, I'll send them to you too.
That way, when I see Brian or I'm just across the street, I can help.
Okay, thank you. I know he's busy, so I'm being patient. Proposed murals, we have a couple murals that we're gonna vote on later in new business. And then I don't think I have anything else. Does anybody else from the mural subcommittee have anything they want to present? I sent out a couple things from Hool, which could go somewhere else, somewhere in town if somebody had the right location for them. They came out in email, and if you didn't get the email, let me know. But they're good designs. We just don't have a prospective place for them at the time, but if somebody wants to suggest something, that would be great. Okay, any questions about the plaques? Does anybody have anything or suggestions?
No.
Okay. I'll move on to the grant subcommittee then. I know Karma can't be here, but I think Joe might have some updates regarding that. So Joe, if you'd like to update us.
Sure, yeah. So Karma and I met last week and we started to kind of think of a plan, and we decided to kind of look at some low-hanging fruit and also then set up some time to do some more exploratory stuff. So I can update you on kind of two things that I think are practical that we might want on our radar. One is the State Arts Council Public Art Across Maryland grant. They actually, and I feel like this is probably going to come up maybe around the Best Gate Circle conversation later, but so what I'll say here is they actually do fund both planning grants and implementation grants. And the materials that we looked at say very clearly, like, you don't have to know yet what you're planning for in order to apply for the planning grant. So it's pretty open-ended, and it seems like if we have something kind of pragmatic that we want to target, that we might pursue that. They have a series of rolling deadlines. The next one is in November, which is pretty quick, but then the next one after that is in February. So just as a side note, they do also have a conservation planning grant. And I know since we have our structure and art review subcommittee as well, there may actually be, I know this a little bit from the college, like they do try to fund stuff about the stewardship of public artwork. So there may be some possibility of pursuing that from a kind of sustainability standpoint. So there's also an National Endowment for the Arts grant for arts projects that funds both special projects and ongoing activities, everything from planning to implementation. It's a bigger grant, and it's a 50% matching grant. But here's the thing, it's pretty cool when you look at it. I looked at projects that they funded in Maryland. There were 18 grants last year, mostly between about 10 and 25K, and they do everything from one-off performances to education and outreach to permanent artworks. Like it's a pretty broadly based grant. One of the categories for applying that seem relevant to us is local arts agencies, but also applications from, and this is the quote from the site, non-arts departments of local government. So we're eligible to apply kind of under that, and sort of digging around at what they funded in Maryland, it's not surprisingly things like Roundhouse Theater or the University of Maryland kind of got those grants, but the Frederick Arts Council actually did get a grant last year specifically for the commission and installation of a public artwork. So there's context there to kind of maybe think about that as a slightly longer term project. The deadlines for this fiscal year have already passed, but if we want to kind of think ahead, that's another possibility. So we did all that, and then we've also reached out to Lynn Farrow, and I expect we'll probably be able to talk to her at some point between now and next month's meeting. So
Fabulous.
Sure.
I think both of them are really good options.
Yep.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, Joe, just a question for the planning grant.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just basically saying you have a plan. Does it ask for any detail whatsoever? Just like we want to do something?
Well, I mean, yes, you have to have a project in mind. But then it
Okay.
really, I mean, there's in one of the presentations, it literally says like, here are things you do not need to have decided: who, what, where, when, why, and then they specify what you don't need to know
Wow.
in order to apply for the grant. So you have to have a concrete idea and some kind of plan. But like the idea is, if you want to use it as your ground level planning, you actually can.
Okay. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. All right, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I have plans. I want to do stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say I got plans and I want to do stuff? Can I just do that?
Oh my God, if only all grant writing were that easy.
All of our problems are solved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Joe about grants?
I don't have a question, but actually I stumbled across the article today that I was just writing an email to send it to you, Genevieve. I may have sent it to you already, but I wanted to make sure I did. It's an article from Spokane, Washington, where they were using some of their COVID money for arts programs or arts
Yeah.
grants. So I'd like to set up a meeting with you and Lynn to discuss doing something like that here in Annapolis.
Okay. Yeah, you sent it to me yesterday. And
Good.
yeah, I responded. So yeah, let's sit down and talk about it and see if some of the CARES funds can go to stuff like that. That'd be great. And I'll share the email too with everybody. I'll send it out.
Good.
And actually, on that note, in the NEA stuff, there's a whole section about being able to use CARES money for this kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We'll move on to public outreach. We haven't, we're still not doing public events, so we really haven't reached out as far as any public planning feedback with our communities since July. But there is a new project coming up that I've had a couple conversations with Sally Nash about, and Cynthia in the city, and it's called Chesapeake Grove. And for people who live in Ward 7, they're probably aware of this developments coming in off of Benby Beach Road. But it's a new development coming in that they have agreed with the city to allow a public access point on it. And because it is close to the original Cars Beach location, we're going to start a public outreach conversation about installing a some sort of tribute to Cars Beach there. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. This is just the beginning of the conversation, but I wanted to let you guys know about it, that this is on our radar and that we are working towards this. Anybody that would like to include themselves, including the Ward 7 rep, Cynthia, I think it's part of the conversation, and we can talk about what it looks like after we have our initial meeting with the developer. So that's all I really have on the information at this time, and I hope to have more next month about the project and whether they're willing to put something there at the public access point. The structure review updates, David and I have not begun the structure review update. We had projected it for October. So hopefully at October's meeting, we'll have an update on the pieces on the art walk that actually need to either be repaired, replaced, or what the status is of our current installation of our art pieces. Then for budget, I just sent the budget out. I'm sorry. I thought I had sent it out earlier today, but I didn't. But Katie sent it to me yesterday. So if you guys have time to check your email and you want to look at the budget, And if you have any questions about what's currently in the budget, let me know. Let's see.
There we go, budget. Opening.
It hasn't really changed much since July's meeting, so.
Our budget is so big, it's taking so long to open.
Ooh. Well,
Could be my poor internet connection today, probably, but
Yeah.
okay.
I can send somebody over to fix that for you. But
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah.
Lord, okay. I don't want that. Okay, I'll take a look at that later.
So, the only thing that has come out is the $1,000 check that we gave. I believe it's to creating communities. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's the poet laureate payment. That's what's come out of the 2021 budget so far. Anybody have any questions about the budget? Comments? Okay. Well, then I will move to new business. And the first speaker that we have is Tola from our African American Community Services Specialist in the Mayor's Office. He wants to talk to us about furthering our artwork outreach as within the city and how it plays in with our tourism and community development. So Tola, if you're ready, you can go ahead and unmute and.
Hey, greetings, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
How you doing? Good. Yeah, I was speaking with Genevieve about smart cities technologies and how we can use those to better highlight the murals in the city, but also the other art groups and different things that are going on art related. So I just wanted to, sit in on the meeting and, look, talk about a couple of different ideas and see what y'all are working on and see how we can collaborate with the mayor's office, get some things done. So are y'all all familiar with smart cities?
Sorry, had to step away for a minute. Yes, smart cities is awesome. I can provide a link to everybody if we're not familiar with what smart cities is here.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll send it out right now.
Okay. Well, so one example would be like the touchscreen boards that could help people direct around the city to different murals, but also incorporating like the historic tourism, Visit Annapolis website. And, I was thinking about how we can have a virtual tour of the city, especially the murals, and then how we could catalog them onto our site, because we're redeveloping the city website.
So yes, and currently we're trying to begin the conversation about a virtual docent for all of our, for all of our artwork in the city, incorporating that with the interactive map that we currently have on the city website, and making it a virtual experience that somebody can have, even if they live in California, they can tap into Annapolis's art community that we have here and discover our new artists. And it's just a whole different way of allowing promotion of not just the city, but the artists too, and their artwork.
Genevieve, you can put a link in the chat too.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna
might be quicker.
I'm pulling it up.
So what other cities have the smart city?
So several cities have it. I'll give you a couple examples. So the actual smartest city in Maryland technically is Seat Pleasant, but their population is about 5,000, right? And they use a lot of technology to deal with human services, and they made a lot of collaborations with tech companies to provide better human services. Now, DC also has a lot of smart city programs and you can tell, DC, they have a lot of competition, right? In different interests, investing in the city and partnering with the city to provide different smart city technologies. As far as this, like art, and I was gonna try to reference Eric and see if he could talk about Austin Weird, because that was something that Mayor Buckley has always been speaking about. How do we incorporate tech and art and in developing community?
Also, I'm sorry, Eric. Just one quick thing. At the HPC meeting the other night, when Jeff Huntington was presenting his murals, he showed the code, not the barcode. What is it called? It's square.
The
little
QR
code.
The QR
Yep.
code. Yeah.
And that code, when you put your phone over it, would take you to, all of a sudden you'd hear the kids, the story of the mural and the kids that painted it in their words. So that's one little piece.
Okay, yeah, I was at that meeting. Okay, I remember that. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and that's our hope, that eventually we can connect all of our art pieces, put up signage that has the QR code on there, sorry. And that what it does is when you place your phone over the QR code, it'll bring up a link that would take you to the internet once you give permission through your phone. And then it can be an audio link, it can be a virtual link, it can be video, it could be just a website link, depends on how we want to set it up, but it would help give the backstory to the art pieces instead of them just holding up a place in town, this beautiful artwork, but you'd be able to learn the story about them as well.
Okay.
So this is different than what the Visitor Center already does on their sort of app and our website.
Yes, this is more of we could make an app for our artwork instead of just doing signage with QR codes. It really depends on what direction we want to go with it, but it is a different sort of experience because instead of downloading the app onto your phone and using it as an interactive thing on your phone all the time, this would just lead you to a link through the internet that would connect you with the art piece and give you the information.
Can we put these QR codes on existing pieces of works of art? It has to be like all new stuff.
Definitely, because you can produce them as just like a sticker, and you could just put it on the signage that already exists there. Like we wouldn't have to pay for new signs.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a book, but with the with the QR codes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people are using QR codes now, like in stores or various other places with mailers. The city uses them, so it connects you back to the city site to learn about the recycling program and stuff like that. So it works the same way.
So would all these, I guess, QR, could they take you to one site or would it be to the artist's website, or I guess we haven't gotten that far down the road yet?
Yeah, so we haven't developed it that far down. We have to figure out where we want the QR codes to direct the traffic the most. It can be, we can host the site ourselves through the city website. The city intends on redoing their website completely. So we have the capability of adding more artwork to it and redoing our art page eventually once this project comes to light. But also we can link it to the AIPPC page. We can link it to a separate page, a separate hosted page. Jeff can do it with his own pieces, have a hosted page for his QR codes, or we can, combine the effort and make it all a one united thing. Or we can do an app too, which isn't, that's a very plausible option as well. If we think that that would work better functionality with people, if they, and we can work with Visit Annapolis to grow the app that they already use. And there's so many possibilities on the table, but I think this is a conversation that we all need to start having if we really do want to broaden how we're viewed as an art city and present our art to people who haven't been here, who didn't plan on coming here, but then see the murals that we have and the sculptures that we have and actually want to visit us through this app. So there's a lot of major cities throughout the nation that has amazing art programs that are part of their tourism. I just think it's an untapped market that we really haven't dived into yet or worked with Visit Annapolis to create something that could be bigger than what it is currently.
Yeah, and I agree. And just to add on is that there's also the opportunity to, to work with the music community,
Yes.
particularly with AIPPC events, but also because there are, during COVID, there have been a lot of outdoor performances. But, if you're not in a certain Facebook group or something, you're not privy to that information. But now, if, we're pushing AIPPC to kind of be that, that one central location for all art in the city. I think an app or possible more robust site is definitely could be a program that we launch. Incorporating technology and art.
Yeah. It's an untapped resource that we have that we could definitely build upon it and figure out which direction we want to go with it. And we can use, Visit Annapolis's data to see how many people are actually engaging with their app. We can, figure out with the city how many people engage with their QR code on their mailers, and go from there. It's just a start of a conversation for us to figure out, especially during these COVID times, how we reach the people that we normally would reach with them just coming to town, but now they're not coming to town.
Well, I have some ideas. So whenever you guys get ready to have some discussions, I'd like to get involved, have some thoughts about, especially from the app website perspective, some things that might be a little more cost effective than having somebody build an app for us.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of
Awesome.
course, I'd like to, from the art aspect, help out. Although, who is doing all this? We're working it, or?
Well, I think it could be a program that we help fund, but I think we're definitely going to need some outside sources that help us. And whether that's, a partnership with the city and a partnership with the city and Visit Annapolis or Art Alliance or, the Arts Council or whatever it is, I think we do need to come together and figure out how to better outside of just Facebook promote, because Facebook is just so overwhelming with as much information as on there. And if we had an app or we had an email even communication system set up for alerts with this artist has this, which Arts Alliance does and the Arts Council does, letting you know what's happening. But currently AIPPC does not have a program set up that way. So we rely heavily on social media and then the social media posts to the city page. But if we could have something that's more of a direct notification system, like an app, or somebody signs up to get the text alerts, SMS to their phone.
You get push notifications, yeah.
Yes, push
Messages, push notifications. The whole, yeah, we could kind of go down a rabbit hole with some ways to kind of.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. So we have to dial it in and figure out which avenues are best for us for what we're trying to promote and represent. But I think it would have a more direct audience if we went this route versus how we're doing it now. Any other questions or thoughts?
Did Eric ever tell us anything about Austin Weird? He's gonna.
I thought maybe I should save my remarks for when I talk, but
He's next, so he can.
Oh, I am? All right.
Yeah. If Tola's done, we can continue the conversation with Eric.
Yeah, I'm done. Last thing is just that we do the other kind of project that we're working on or program is Startup Annapolis, where we're focusing on working with startups, tech or just small businesses. But we're creating a cohort where they can kind of do some of the legwork, even for like a project like this, working with y'all. So just want to throw that out there that we will definitely have some people to help and assist with this or anything that comes out of these conversations. So thank y'all for letting me speak and join.
Thanks, Tola.
Okay.
Okay. So next, I'm going to introduce Eric. He is our Chief of Comprehensive Planning with the City of Annapolis. And his time slot today is basically discussing incorporating Art 2 into the comprehensive plan of Annapolis.
Thank you. You all, you've been on my mind started as I'm really introduced myself to just about everybody I can right now. I'm only about a little less than 3 months into my position here. I haven't lived here in a bit over 20 years. I was in Baltimore for some time. I have been in Texas for the last 10 years, in Austin for the last 5 years. And I kind of come to the city from primarily a private sector background. I was working in design and planning firms for about the last 12 years, where I was actually working on a lot of projects that integrated public art and arts initiatives. And I actually have a public art background myself. So, arts is just one piece of what I do in my job as the comprehensive planner for the city. My responsibility is to kind of think about the interconnections between everything that contributes to this city in a way. I'm kind of the ultimate generalist, I guess, and keeping an eye particularly on the public realm, which often falls between the stools on development projects. And that's a big part of my job, but that impacts just about everything from transportation to economic development and arts and culture, obviously. And so I'm going to talk about Austin in a second, but the important thing to know about my role here is that I shepherd through the comprehensive plan, which is something that happens only every 10 years. And it's a pretty significant document because it sets the vision for the city for the next 10, 20, even 30 years. Sometimes it doesn't happen when it's due, or there's a lag, but there's generally an overlap. From every 10 years when we do this, we try to look at what we had proposed 10 years earlier. Have we done that? Have we done in terms of accomplishing our goals? And a lot of times those goals and recommendations continue forward. So we're in the middle of that process right now. You all probably aware of that. I meet a lot of people who aren't. So I want to remind, we're still figuring out ways of reaching people right now during COVID. It's a challenging time to do engagement, as you know, but we have a dedicated website for the comp plan and sharing everything we can on that. One thing about the comprehensive plan that, and as I kind of refamiliarize myself with how planning is conducted in Maryland, it's pretty different than in Texas. The state of Maryland is very prescriptive in what content should go into the comp plan. It's not to say they tell us what our recommendations should be or what our goals are, but we have to have a chapter on housing, a chapter on transportation, chapter on land use, these kind of big categories. One thing they don't have a prescribed chapter for is arts and culture, which is, kind of baffling for a state like this. So if you go back and you look at the 2009 plan, there's no dedicated chapter on arts and culture. And so I'm really focused on making it a chapter of its own. It's important to me. I think the more you get to know me, the more you'll find that I have a pretty expansive view on how art contributes to city life and the identity of the city. And where I was living in, the last 5 years in Austin, they have a very ambitious AIPP program. Obviously, it's a much larger city. There's a larger tax base. It's developing in a completely different way than Annapolis. But one interesting aspect of the AIPP program is that it's within the economic development division of the city, and that's just kind of an interesting acknowledgement that what AIPP does is really contributing to the economy of the city. It's ensuring that people move to Austin, want to stay in Austin there. There's a lot of artist displacement issues in Austin right now as the city is growing. So they're sort of grappling with that and trying to find a way to keep Austin weird, so to speak. We were just joking about that because I was saying the city has come a long way from when that tagline was originally created. It's probably less and less weird of a place. It's not a college town so much anymore as a big tech city, but I'd be happy to share things that their AIPP program is doing that I think could be model for here. And they have a staff there's some important distinctions, but they're doing things like they have a program where they embed artists within city departments to help think about ideas that may not be happening and facilitate new ways of communicating. They are doing a range of public art programs, in all kinds of public facilities, and they have a dedicated percent for art type program. They have a temporary public art program called Tempo, in addition to a permanent public art program. And the temporary public art program is specifically focused on places that are off the beaten path, in neighborhoods that tourists don't get to. And they go out of their way to find local artists who have not won a major public art commission previously. And they're actually just kind of smaller grant projects, but they've been very successful at that. So those are some of the things. I think with the smart city idea, the aspect of that I would love to talk more about is the idea that the projects that are commissioned or curated by AIPP are integrated with city services. We're talking about Visit Annapolis, but there's no reason why the projects can't help to shed light on public works or planning and zoning or other departments that have really important work in the city, but whose mission may not be crystal clear to the average resident. I think, when I talk to folks, there's general, I think, generally not enough understanding of how the city works. And so there's a program I learned about a few years ago in Calgary. They have a public art program called Watershed Plus that is all about commissioning artists to do projects that help to make the inner workings of their public works department more visible, and they've done interesting video projects and other temporary projects and performance-based stuff, I believe. And so, I think at the end of the day, a lot of how art programs can grow relies on the kind of opportunities that artists have in the city, and how expansively we can think about that. And I'm excited to hear the conversation that's been happening just tonight about some of the initiatives. I'm only somewhat familiar with the state of Maryland grant programs that were mentioned earlier. I'm trying more caught up on those so that I can help advance any ideas that you all might have. I do have a close friend who works for the Maryland State Arts Council and their public art division, and he's been sharing some of their grant programs. I think the idea of working with artists to help inform interpretation in the city is something that's been on my mind a lot. As about a number of projects where we're starting to find new uses for historic buildings, the Burtis House or other places where we might, maybe in a different time, we would have gone straight to turning it into a museum, but there's an adaptive reuse idea that would, in theory, coexist with some kind of historic understanding of that place. I think artists, with the right program in place, can help to interpret these places in kind of innovative ways. So I'm obviously riffing here with my soapbox that you gave me, but I just want to say, I mean, I'm very excited to help support the work you're doing, and just want to be a resource. And I don't want the thunder of Damien, who you're going to hear from in a bit, but I was extremely excited to when I started my position and got introduced to Damien, and heard about the plans coming out of Maryland Hall, which I'm sort of been involved with somewhat since I started. So I just think that's a great institution for the city, and I'm looking forward to kind of, it's not a city institution, but it's in the city, and there's a lot of opportunities around that. So I think,
Agree.
yeah.
So do you have any questions for AIPPC as far as bringing the comprehensive plan together?
Well, I'm still trying to learn how, my understanding is that you all have, there's dedicated funding for AIPP, but I'm still learning how it gets used, and whether what kind of ideas you all have for how to formalize particular programs, or if you're happiest just sort of taking on projects as they come around through different development projects, or because I understand, I know it's tough being a volunteer board and without having a staff. I don't want to bite off more than you can handle, but to me, it seems like there's room for more formalized initiatives, maybe. So that's, I guess, the area where I'd love to hear more. And the tenor of the recommendations in the comp plan, they should be aspirational, but also implementable. It's sort of a tough balance to find sometimes, but typically, you put a time frame on when you would like to achieve that recommendation. You put some names of departments or boards or commissions or even sometimes individuals to those recommendations. So there's some accountability, and you try to be as specific as you can about what you're actually trying to accomplish. And we're trying to do more metrics with this comp plan to be sort of clear about how to measure performance over time. So I guess that's the area where I'm kind of most interested in advancing.
Okay. I think that's definitely a conversation that we can further, and I'm part of the nitty gritty committee as well. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
You'll be
And I think, I'll send your contact info out to all of AIPPC. So if any of the commissioners have any ideas that they want to throw at you directly, I think we should definitely open that up, because everybody has great ideas about their wards and what they think that the community is looking for more arts in each ward. Does anybody have any other questions for Eric?
I just had some thoughts. I think it was Bumper's mom who started under her watch. I think this when AIPPC started. The last administration let the funding really drop to where it barely covered, I think, the performances at City Dock. And something that I've wanted to push for, and it's been difficult, but is what some cities have like 0.1% of the budget that goes to fund the arts. And so I'm really glad to hear Eric and I have been working together on bikes and a lot of other things, but that's very exciting news, Eric, that your idea of including arts and culture into the comprehensive plan. So I just thought I'd let you know we did increase the budget when Gavin, the mayor, got in, but it's still barely enough to do what we have to do, let alone ideas that we'd like to do. Maybe this year, being that we didn't have the performances downtown, we might have.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to that, and especially with the legislation, that is something that is on our radar, that we need to possibly rewrite our code eventually. In a pandemic budget, we're kind of looking at some hands tied issues, but it is a conversation to continue to have. So if anybody—
this is Krista. I'd like
Yeah.
to jump in and just reiterate what Brian was saying. And Eric, thank you so much for being here tonight. I represent Ward 5. And when I first was recruited to come on the board, Will Rao and myself were talking also about the fact that it would be so great if we could get new developers to offer some money, have a certain percentage and have that worked in, like Genevieve was mentioning, and Brian, we talked about that in the very beginning, but I don't think we've really gotten any speed on that. So it's great to hear that those initiatives are, hopefully going to, have more light shined on them.
Anybody else for comments or questions for Eric? Thank you, Eric, so much for being here. Thank you, Tola. I know that the city is totally in partnership with us, and it does help us do what we do. And hopefully we can move forward with promoting our local artists and our arts district and all over the city, actually, in each ward, and just growing it even more with this partnership of promotion and writing it into the comprehensive plan.
Yeah. Well, I'll
All right.
definitely be back. I'm going to probably take some stabs at some goals and recommendations that just from stuff that's been in past plans, and I will certainly be sharing draft material with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, and
Sounds
Austin
great.
is a fabulous place too, you know, to use as a model. I lived 12 years in Nashville too, so you know, tourism is huge around the arts in both cities,
A lot of
and
similarities, yeah.
yeah, there are a lot of similarities.
Thanks so much, Eric.
You bet.
Hey, I'd like to introduce Damian Sinclair. He's Director of Creative Advancement at Maryland Hall, and he's going to tell us what current projects and how they are continuing to connect with the community through this pandemic that we're living in.
Great. Well, thanks for allowing me to be here. Hello, everyone. Damian Sinclair. I've been at Maryland Hall for about a year. And I could yammer on for the full 5 minutes, but I'm going to share a video to start with. And there's two things in particular that I'd like to highlight in the video after I'm done. And then I'll talk about those, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So let me get my, my screen sharing working and make sure you guys can hear the sound. And I think this face will be familiar for sure. Let's hit start.
For 40 years, Maryland Hall has opened its doors so that the community can learn, grow, and experience the arts.
We have built an organization dedicated to Art for All, the region's cultural core, convening and engaging all people in arts experiences that strengthen community. In this moment, we recognize the need to expand this vision even farther beyond our walls and even more responsive to our community.
It is the community conversations and collaboration that bring us back stronger after COVID-19. And I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and work with Maryland Hall to bring arts for all.
The demands ahead of us will be great and the resources diminished. But through creativity and collaboration, our region will emerge even stronger. We will open up our front steps for safe gatherings to celebrate art, using our beautiful building and dramatic front porch as a backdrop for concerts and presentations. We will continue to connect students of all ages to artistic pursuits in innovative ways. Virtual and socially distanced classes will lead to hybrid models. Outdoor experiences will slowly evolve to gathering back inside. We will help reinforce the role of the arts in every child's life and make deep connections between artistic participation and athletic and career success in our new Athletes for the Arts celebration.
We will bring the community together to collaborate on inspiring public art projects.
I think public art is a positive force and has a way of really healing communities during times of distress, and also just allows people a community pride in their spaces.
World-renowned artist Patrick Doherty will design an installation this spring, and our partnerships will build it. We will gather the entire community together to envision a broader sense of campus. A place where festivals are born, new facilities are imagined, and art connects our neighborhoods. The Michael E. Bush Center for the Arts will provide the entire state of Maryland with a vibrant hub of ideas, dialogue, and energy, uniting artists and communities from all corners of the region through conversations and projects that feed our collective home. Gather with us in spirit at Maryland Hall. Help us bring this vision to our front steps, beyond our walls, and into your home.
All right. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to highlight two things. The first is artist Patrick Doherty. Maryland Hall will be bringing Patrick Doherty into Annapolis to do a 3-week art installation on our front lawn. That'll be from May 2nd through 22nd of 2021. So for us, it was super important to have a project to look forward to, one that was outside, one that was we could build on, get the community excited about. And Patrick's work is one that does that. He actually came to visit about a week or two ago. We did a site visit with him. The installation will be happening most likely on the front lawn under the gigantic tree right closest to Bates Middle School. One of the inspirations for this project, in fact, was to develop a shared ownership of campus with Bates Middle School students as well. We had over the last year small acts of vandalism here or there, and that kind of led us to believe that there wasn't kind of that shared sense of, ownership with it. So we've actually already started in the classes with the arts integration teachers, talking about nature art, talking about Patrick Doherty, and we'll be doing that over the next year. A big thing for us with the Patrick Doherty installation is going to be collaboration, and we need the entire community there with us to help with that installation, to help make the public aware of it. And I wanted to kind of share that all with you as we kind of drive towards May and Patrick Doherty's installation. The other thing in that video that I wanted to highlight and worked with several people on this call about is the greater sense of campus. One of the things that we at Maryland Hall wanted to do was really start thinking more outside of our walls. 20 years ago, the Maryland Hall board had come up with a vision for campus. It never went anywhere. It was architect Charlie Lamb was one of the drivers of that conversation, but never quite headed where we needed to head. We, Maryland Hall, in partnership with the city of Annapolis, have submitted an application to the National Endowment for the Arts and a very special Our Town grant, which is a creative placemaking grant. We brought along a lot of other partners in that application, including Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and others, in order to develop a big 2-year conversation about the campus around Maryland Hall. For those of you that are familiar with the space, in particular, you know that it's not just Maryland Hall, there's Bates Middle School, and then there are beautiful fields behind Bates that extend a great deal. They are utilized, but they are certainly underutilized by the community. And we said in conversation with our partners, what if we envision that campus as an arts campus, one where the community can gather, where festivals can be born, where things can kind of flow from. And we took that as our idea for the application. So it's a 2-year planning grant. If we receive it, we'll be notified in April. But I think we're going to head down the conversation regardless of the grant, but I'll explain what the grant will pay for in a second. The first part of the conversation with the community would be working with the city and working with all of our partners, including you as well, to develop kind of an arts master plan for Annapolis. Let's figure out what our priorities are as a community in terms of development in order to get to the second phase of that conversation is what of those priorities can we overlay on this campus? What can the space be used for? An amphitheater, mixed use housing, workspace, rehearsal space, all of that kind of stuff. If we receive the grant, one of the fun things that will be a part of it is it will actually pay to have 3 artists in residence at Maryland Hall. Those artists, we're hoping to get a visual artist, a performance artist or company that is used to site-specific work, and a designer to work with the community to help develop that plan from an artistic perspective. And so from a public art perspective, the hope is that at the very least, the conversation with the community leads to new public art on this campus that helps to kind of exemplify the conversations that we're having with the community. So those are the things that I wanted to share. I'm happy to answer any questions or share any more thoughts as you have. So
we'll open it up for questions if anybody has any for Damien.
I just think it's a great idea. I mean, I'm excited about, the campus and, you sort of mentioned things, rehearsal spaces, amphitheater, studio space for artists, musicians, that sort of stuff would be awesome. Um, is there a hierarchy in terms of okay, I know you've got the 3 artists in residence, but once you start thinking about structural things, is there a hierarchy in terms of what you start with, or you just kind of have to just go with the flow?
I think a lot of it will have to do with the community as a whole. And I think the community as a whole can drive that conversation. There's a couple of steps that we're going to take at Maryland Hall just to kind of get started before we begin. And again, the broader campus conversation would begin from a grant perspective in July of 2021. What we're going to do is we're working with the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County to do kind of a cultural asset mapping for the county. So we want to understand what resources already exist. Let's document them. Let's put them in one place to make sure that the conversation doesn't go into, well, we need, 30,000 square feet of rehearsal space when that exists 20 miles up the road.
Right.
So we'll be doing that work first. A big and huge important part for Maryland Hall is to make sure that the Hispanic community in particular and the African American community in Annapolis are encouraged and are developed to become active participants in the conversation. And so that's where the city has been super helpful in some early conversations, and we're hoping to have even more to really kind of get them engaged, get these populations engaged in the conversation so it doesn't become a conversation about, and I mean no disrespect for this, but it doesn't become a conversation about orchestra, opera, ballet, but it becomes more of a conversation about broader community needs from the arts. And so the hierarchy, I think, will come from the dialogues. And I think it's going to be important for us as we start to structure those dialogues collectively to make sure that we're hearing all voices as a part of it.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, Damien, so much for your time. I'm very excited about this. This is in my front yard. And I cannot wait to see more that's coming out. And that AIPBC supports Maryland Hall and their initiatives. And if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us.
We're so deeply appreciated. Yes, sorry, Brian.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely welcome.
Damien.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.
We're so appreciative of everything, and let's get excited in May when we have 3 weeks of art installation out front. We're going to need lots of volunteers, and if anybody knows how to access a whole ton of saplings, we could take that direction right now. So
yeah, and he's an amazing person. It was so lovely to talk with him, and he had an installation in Cheekwood when we lived in Nashville, and it was very interactive, and everybody loved it. All the age groups did, and I can't believe this is going to be my front yard. So thank you.
I did have one question about it. You said 3 weeks. Does that mean it's only up 3 weeks, or it's 3 weeks of building it and it will stay up forever?
So it is. So it's 3 weeks of building. The installation is temporary in the sense that, and as Patrick said, it will stay up as long as the host wants it to stay up. There comes a point of degradation. It's usually between 2 and 3 years where the art piece doesn't look like an art piece as much anymore.
Right.
And at that point, we'll take it down. But it has, it'll have a multiple year shelf life, and it should be as a part of Visit Annapolis, a part of Art in Public Places, it should be a destination for people to visit for some time.
That actually reminds me, Damien, I don't think you were at Maryland Hall when Claire McCardle showed there. Claire was a hometown girl, has done projects around the world, but she was invited at one point to a city in Japan. They picked a dozen artists. I think it was every other year. And the artists would go there and for so many weeks build their project, and they would have people building out of steel, out of stone, out of wood. And I've always dreamed that Annapolis, especially with our closeness to DC and in Baltimore, that we could get world-renowned artists and have arts be such a reason to come to Annapolis to see a project like that. So I'm glad you're doing it.
we're here for you and we're going to keep doing it. And we're excited. And, you know, the full-throated support as we go through it will mean so much. And these community conversations are going to be super powerful. And I know everybody, at least on this call, will be a part of it. But we're looking for so many more voices as well.
Thanks, Damien.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the John Lewis mural. Did everybody have a chance to review the proposal that Jeff sent us? I take silence as a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
For the group, since we're all quiet today.
I know. Are we all subdued because of what's happening later, or are we just?
I think everybody's all amped to tune in another 45 minutes and see the excitement.
I'm just getting hungry watching Chris cooking
You know what I'm
behind me.
saying? I said exactly the same thing, man.
Here, let me scoot you over a little.
Down.
Sorry, guys.
Too late now. I'm already hungry.
That's what I told David. I said, it's, never mind. I'll explain it all later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So does anybody have any questions or comments, concerns about the proposal that Jeff has sent us? No? Okay. If there isn't a point of discussion that's needed, or any review further that we need to do of this project, he is asking for funding for it. It is not funded. His total fees in this proposal are for $12,590. So I am bringing it up for a vote tonight for us to fund it as well as approve it to be a mural installation in the city of Annapolis.
Approve all $12,000, did you say?
It's $12,000. Or if somebody would like to make a motion to fund a portion of it, or this is why we're here for this discussion right now. And that is also why I sent out the budget earlier.
So we have 40,000 left, 39,000 left in our budget for this year, correct?
Yes, but our money from last year carried over as well.
Oh, okay.
So we have 40,000 from this year, but we spent 1,000, so it's 39 plus the leftover of last year.
Just 20. I just closed the file up now. I got to find it again. Okay.
Genevieve, this is Krista. Do we have an actual place? Can you remind me, does he have an actual place where he wants to put this?
He does. It's the approved location. The building owner has approved it. It's at 95 West Street.
Okay.
And the owner of the building isn't gonna, I thought that he was gonna pay for it.
No, that is not the information that I have at this time. Jeff said that he needs funding for it.
Okay.
This is one in a series of murals he wants to do throughout the city, correct?
It
He
is.
talked to, yeah, he's got 5 or 6 ones that he wants to do.
It is part of the initial,
Right.
yes, it is part of the initial proposal that he gave to us with the whole series of murals. And this
Right.
would play into the whole virtual docent and the kids. This is Future History Now, so it would include the kids creating this mural with him.
Well, are you making a motion?
Do I have a motion to support this project from AIPPC?
I'll make a motion to support the arts project by Jeff Huntington for $12,000.
Do I have a second? Yes, this is Krista. I'll second that.
Okay, so I want to clarify that it's $12,590.
All right.
Is that okay? I just want to clarify.
This was David who made that motion. Sorry.
Thank you,
Keep forgetting
David.
who
And
did it.
Chris has seconded. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do roll call and take a vote. So David,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Krissa,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Okay. So I will move forward with that to,
I have just something. I know you've voted on it, but just something I thought I'd mention. Jeff is one of my dear friends, so if I could vote, of course I would vote to help him.
but you can't.
And I can't. You guys all voted to just do it, but I just was thinking, as a precedent, when the next mural comes along, you might think, oh, they gave them 12,000. They're going to want to give us 12,000. We really don't have that much money. When we want to get some of these grants to do some big projects, they're going to need us to have money to do the matching part of it. So I just want everybody to think about that. I don't know if we can encourage, like I said, with the owner, I know he was interested in this. I don't know if there's a way we can try to see if we can get him to pay for half, if we pay for half. I mean, I know you voted to give it all to him and that's it, but just trying to figure out how to save our money for some other projects.
Well, we do have a carryover from last year, and also we did not have the expense of our music events that we had. So we do have a little more room for various projects this year. So I understand the concern, and going forward, that is why we started the grant subcommittee, so we can have additional funding, and we will work on the legislation going forward as well. So
This is Krista. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I just want to go on record as saying, Brian, I agree with you. I had some hesitancy with regards to the amount of money. Certainly not for the mural. I think we all are in agreement that we want to support that mural and that project, and of course, Future History Now and all the projects that they're doing with the kids. With that said, I do agree that if there is, certainly an opportunity where money is presented to us, that we can reallocate. I don't know if that's an opportunity to do that we might visit it at a later date. Also, Genevieve, I want to go on record also as saying that since we didn't have the money, or we didn't have the events down at City Dock, I know that we had put some money into the music fund. And I'd also like to consider that if there is any extra, that we might maybe consider that at maybe our next meeting to revisit that with regards to the musicians.
Definitely. Yeah, we can put it on the agenda.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Krissa.
Yep.
Okay. So I also sent out the Truxton Heights mural. This is a Maryland Hall initiative working with the Truxton Heights community. It is located at the corner of Silopana and Spa, and Laura Brino and students will be painting it. Do we have questions, concerns, or comments regarding this mural? Okay. They are not looking for any monetary sort of donation from us. It's just our approval because it is on city property and within the city limits. So do I have a motion to vote on this mural?
Do they have expenses for paint and stuff?
There is no money. There's no money being asked from us. It's being paid for by Maryland Hall and Truxton Heights.
Great.
There's no motion to move forward with this mural.
I'll let somebody else make a motion.
I'll do it. I move that we approve the endorsement, or we endorse the mural at the corner of Silipana and
Thank you, Joe. And do I have a second on the motion?
Yeah, I second it.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Mhm.
Okay, we will do the roll call. David,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Krista.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, good. Uh-huh.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Joe,
yes.
and I vote yes as well. All righty. Thank you, everybody. Last on our agenda for new business is to begin the discussion of starting the RFP for Westgate Circle. This is going to be a process. We are going to, I foresee us as creating a subcommittee, which I discussed with Ashley about how we create a community, a public input subcommittee for this particular project. And I just wanted to open it up basically as an open discussion amongst the commission of how we want to approach this to begin the process. And if anybody has any concepts, ideas, whatever, let's start this conversation for replacement.
So I guess my initial question is, how do we want to limit on the subcommittee?
I think definitely, yes. Like it'll be a panel of, originally when Ashley and I talked about it, it was 3 community members and 3 commission members that would lead the subcommittee and then present it to AIPPC for the final approval.
So would the 3 community members have a vote, or?
They would have a say in the process of developing the RFP and the concept for Westgate Circle.
Okay,
The
but the
final
voting
vote.
rests within us. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's basically, I got you. Okay, that's cool. Sounds a good start.
It's, yeah. Anybody else have a comment?
Can you just give maybe a general sense of what a timeline would look like? Like even for the planning process, much less what's the aspirational date for having something in place?
Exactly. And I think a lot of that depends on the first initial conversations about what we are actually going to install there. I know a lot of us would like to have a permanent structure, a permanent sculpture. You know, of course, as most of us know, that's comes with a price tag. So that would fall into grants and public donations, in addition to whatever we can supply from AIPPC, match funds, etc. So I think that would dictate the time frame too. I think planning, I would like it possibly in 60 to 90 days to be able to open it up for RFP. And I think at that point we will know what the concept is across the board from the public and AIPPC for the replacement sculpture. And then we can go from there into budgetary and start planning how long that's going to take to raise the funds from the time of accepting a proposal and a concept to actually implementation and putting it in at the circle.
Has anybody reviewed the last time we put this out for RFP? I think we had a couple of dozen applicants from around the country. And I think the winner was Don Cook and Dick Bond. And then it never was able to be built because shortly after they won the RFP, then the plans for Severn Bank were built, and their plan was, it was a Stonehenge-ish looking thing that could tell you from the sun what year it is, what month it was, what time of day it was. and the bank blocked the sun. But it might be helpful for all of us to look at that last time we went through this process and review that before we put out a new one.
Okay. Anybody else from the commission have? Any questions or thoughts or concerns going forward? Does anybody have any concepts? Any ideas? When you drive around the circle, what do you see?
This is Krista. I had kind of an idea of maybe having some sort of light display, doing something a little bit totally different. I know we talked about that at one point, but I have no concept on it quite yet.
I guess my only concept is something that's cool but not too distracting. That's going to make you run into the side of the wall or run into the hotel or hit somebody. Because at one point in time, I know back I was on the commission. We did the stone piece that we just removed, and we were all thinking about kinetic sculptures and things that move and kind of did things. But again, that could be a little distracting in terms of.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's got to be big enough that it it's noticeable, but not too small, not too big that it's like a monstrosity and ruins the skyline. So
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I think that's David. If
yes,
I'm hearing
David,
right,
sorry.
I totally agree on that. Yep, we're in agreement.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I think it should represent the city. It is one of the entry points of the city. I think it should fit the landscape of the area, and like David said, it shouldn't be distracting. So
Kind of hard. You got to balance. You want it to be cool, but not so cool that you want to go take a picture next to it.
exactly, it can't be interactive. We can't have people crossing the circle. So
yeah, I'm trying to crawl up the wall. So
This
that's all part of the. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
This is maybe kind of stating the obvious, but we're in a moment where public monuments are under incredible scrutiny.
exactly.
And anything we do, we just have to be super careful about how we define what this thing is supposed to represent. And there's, I mean, that's what the process is for, but
exactly.
Where in other times, people would not be paying attention to it in the way that they might be right now. So
yeah, I feel that whatever panel we put together should definitely be sensitive to the current climate with representation with sculptures and art. And my first initial thought was unity, especially since it is a gateway into the city. It should be something, whatever it is, whatever the artist's concept is of what unity is represented to them. But I thought it was a good theme to at least start with, to discuss, because regardless, in any aspect of our lives, we definitely need unity. So there's my pitch. Does anybody else have anything else? Or any other concepts or ideas?
Oh, it's all yours, Genevieve.
Here, I think it should be a dedication to the victims of COVID-19.
And that was Cynthia.
And that would include Robert Eads.
So they, I wish I still had Tola online, but they are doing a mural for Robert Eads. At this time, I think it might be going on a county building. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check with that, just as a side note for everybody.
We also renamed the park on College Creek Park, Robert Eads Park.
Yes, thank you.
I think the monument to the lives lost during the COVID-19 pandemic would be a very good theme, and I think that a lot of artists would agree. And one last request. I know it's 8:30. Could you please send me the information about Annapolis Grove? Any communication? I haven't received any emails since July.
Okay.
So anything pertaining to Ward 7, specifically Annapolis Grove, please forward that to me.
Most definitely. We have not initiated contact with the developer yet. It was just
Should be in the initial conversation. I've been discussing this with my alderman for years, literally.
Right, right.
So I've been in on the ground floor on this project.
Definitely.
So please, as I say, I have not received any correspondence since July.
Yeah. Well, I haven't either. I just
No, from you or anyone on the commission.
But you got the agenda, right? You got the agenda, right?
That was the first email I had gotten since July.
Did you get the links I just sent out and the budget?
Please forward me the Annapolis Grove conversation.
Well, Cynthia,
And
as I
project.
said, Cynthia, there hasn't been a conversation yet. I'm just starting to say that we are going to begin outreach. And when I said that we were going to begin outreach, I did say that we would include you as being a rep from Ward 7. So
well, I would say this, that the Cars Beach project has been my project of Ward 7 I initiated the project.
Yes.
So please,
yes,
you do need to CC me on conversations or emails pertaining to that project.
Yes, definitely. As soon as they begin, you will definitely be involved. So
please send me all the prior correspondence about the project. Thank you.
There isn't any prior correspondence. So back to Westgate Circle.
About the Cars Beach project?
There isn't for over off of Bemby Beach Road. There isn't.
Since July?
There isn't, no. Okay, so Westgate Circle. Anybody else have other comments? Anybody else have other comments?
I just Googled public art traffic circle, and there's quite a few things that might get people's brains juices flowing.
Thank you, Brian. Go ahead and send that link out to us, or you can put it in the chat box. Okay, all right, well, we can move forward with creating the subcommittee for it, I think. If you would like to be involved with the subcommittee for the Westgate Circle, please state so. And if you have recommendations for the public participants as well, please feel free to put their names out. We will open it up to others. I know Dave Brashears had some concepts that he came to us a couple meetings ago with, so we'll definitely reach out to him too and see. We do have local sculpture artists that do have some ideas too as well. So I'm really excited to see what comes and we put on the circle.
Cool.
And I also know that Eric Evans got a beautification grant, and they're supposed to be planting flowers around the bottom half of the circle. They're not replacing anything, they're just adding to, so.
Cool.
Okay, any other, we're at open discussion, so, oh, I do have an open discussion. There is a project coming, I'm sorry. Okay, so there is a project coming to us from Archie and Tony Spencer. They're gonna submit the paperwork, but it's an expansion of the baseball memorabilia that they're gonna bring in some more donated artifacts, and we're gonna put them in at Pitt Moyer, just so you guys know. But I don't have that, I don't have the details in front of me at this time, but as soon as I get it, I'll send it out to everybody. And then also, so Black Lives Matter, which
Genevieve?
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, I got that memo this afternoon, and they wanted me to speak to this a teeny bit. They will need funding to purchase exhibition glass floor cases and glass wall cases.
Right.
I don't know if that's it came across my desk and they wanted me to bring that up.
Thanks, Bumper. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. They are supposed to be submitting a dollar amount, so we'll know what to vote on in order to help them out with the glass cases.
Yeah, that'll be on next month's agenda.
Fabulous. Thanks, Bumper.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, and then there is a proposed project, which we discussed before, about painting Black Lives Matter on West Street. It would be in front of the Graduate Hotel. The dollar amount for the paint was $650. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the $650 for the paint for the project. If I could get a second on the motion.
Excuse me, this is Cynthia. Was this on the agenda? And Annapolis Grove was not on the agenda either. I think we should bump this up to the next meeting.
Okay, Cynthia, Annapolis Grove fell underneath the public outreach updates underneath old business, and we're not.
Oh,
yeah.
But that is new business, and
Well,
this is new business. So I think we need to end the meeting now and move this up into the November meeting.
Call to order, Cynthia, please. Public outreach was about reaching out to Annapolis Grove. It wasn't for doing anything in particular or holding a vote.
It's a new business.
As far as no, it was update under old business because subcommittees were formed. As far as
No, it wasn't update. That was the first time it was brought up.
Call to order,
So
please. We're not doing
it's new
anything.
business.
Call to order, Cynthia. We are only discussing Annapolis Grove. We're not making any decisions on it. I was just giving an update that we're going to initiate an outreach conversation. And yes, you are included on it. Back to the Black Lives Matter. It was discussed in our July meeting. And I believe it was Krista, sorry, not Cynthia, that asked us to come back with a dollar amount as to how much painting the street would be. So it's $650. And
well, once again, I move that we push this up to the October meeting and end the meeting now with the agenda that we have.
Okay, so back to point of order. I made a motion to vote on it. If I don't have a second, then we can discuss moving it back.
I'd like to second it. I do recall that we talked about it before, but I'd like to second it. But if we take a vote, maybe I don't know. Can we take a vote on voting now, or can we take a vote on voting later to honor Cynthia's request as well? Could we vote on doing it now or later?
So we have a second to vote on it, and if the vote doesn't go through, then we can discuss it next month.
There we go. That sounds like a good compromise.
Okay. So I'm going to do a roll call for vote. David?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Abstain.
Krissa?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Okay. And I vote yes. So the ayes have it. Anybody have anything else for open discussion? Hey.
This is Krista. I just
Yes.
wanted to, can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am.
I just wanted to sort of give some response to the outdoor music that has been going on at the clock tower. It's been very well received. They're still doing the music. They're going to kind of play it by ear is what the feedback was. This is at the Grapes Wine Bar Restaurant. And but the feedback has been very positive. I think the difficulty at moving ahead is whether or not they'll be able to do it once the colder weather hits. And I presume that that is the concern of some of the other spaces as well. Some of the restaurants in the area are, of course, doing the tents and all that, which is pretty widely known. But I just wanted to give a little shout out for our ward and just how much people have enjoyed having that music on Thursday nights.
Thank you, Krissa. It is a great venue area, and I do look forward to once COVID is not such an issue, of expanding the entertainment that we have out there with them again. Because I know they were receptive to having the artisan market and the farmers market
Yeah.
with music and stuff. So
Yeah, we're really
Okay.
excited, but we just have to figure out the time frame for that to happen that works for everybody. So thanks for supporting all of that.
thank you, Krista, so much too for the outreach that you do over there.
Oh, my pleasure. An honor.
Anyone else for open discussion? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second?
I second it. It's Krista.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Bye, everybody.
Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Good work that we've done.